Okay, so I was thinking that we can get back into the Locust story. So debt cleared, basically. The last time we left off was what was happening? Oh, okay. So the last time we left off, they had got news from the hospital, and Tasha was apologizing for something she didn't mean. She meant every word of it. So, but she got the actors to come in tomorrow to receive the baby. The husband is calling her, but she's pretending that she doesn't know, and that kind of thing. You know, Tasha being Tasha. Okay, so we all can see Tasha has a bit of control issues going on, and just cruel. You know, she has a bit of cruelty to her. So, but she thinks she's doing it for all the right reasons. I mean, look at the contradiction in her. So she's doing it for family, but yet she's getting rid of family. Yeah. Just because she wasn't in control of how the family was made, she decides to discard that part of the family. Okay? Okay, so moving forward. Uh, let's go into it. The next day, Tasha woke up and she ran to the bathroom. I mean, Tasha was just feeling so sick. So she ran to the bathroom and she emptied out her guts again. She got up and she rinsed her face and she drank a cup of water out of her hand just to clear her mouth, and then she decided to brush her teeth. But as soon as she began to brushing her teeth, that feeling came back, and there she was back over the toilet letting out her guts. So Troy overheard the commotion. So he got up from out of the bed and he made his way to the bathroom and he knocked on the door and he said, "Honey, are you okay?" And Tasha couldn't respond because she was letting her guts out. And so Troy took it upon himself to just walk into the bathroom, and he saw his wife just ill over the toilet. And so he went and rubbed her head as she was letting her guts out. And he said, "Wow, honey, are you okay?" You know, and she's kind of laid over in the toilet, and she said, "Yeah, I think I just maybe something I ate last night. I don't know." And so Tasha had yet to tell him that they were having a baby. She wanted to surprise him after the baby was gone. She wanted little Locust to be out of their life first. So then she can then replace the idea of Locust with their baby that she was carrying. So finally, she gets up, she gets to her feet, and she washes her face again, and just to take some of the heat out of her face, and then she goes ahead and rinse her mouth out. But she looked at the toothpaste as if it was not a good sign. So she tried it again, and this time she was okay. So she went ahead and brushed her teeth, and she looked over at her husband, still staring at her strangely, and he said, "You sure you're okay, darling?" And she said, "Oh, honey, I'm just fine." She said, "I'm sure it was the shrimp I ate last night. It was something, because that's what I tasted as it made me nauseous, and that's the only thing I can taste." And so Troy didn't make a big deal of it. He just accepted her answer for what it was. So they went into the bedroom and they sat across each other on the bed, and he said, "Well, I go pick up Locust today." And he said, Have you spoken to the family?" "Oh, yes, but they should be here today at 11." He said, "Oh, okay, swell. That'll work out. I should be home before then, and that'll give me maybe just an hour or so just to say goodbye." She said, "Yes, absolutely, honey." She said that would probably be best. And so Troy decided to get ready, and he said, "Are you coming to the hospital with me?" She said, She said, yeah, sure, Troy. She said, you sure you don't want to do that on your own? And he said, well, I mean, I can. And so she said, well, okay, I think that's probably best. She said, would you like for me to make you some breakfast before you go? And he said, yeah, that sounds pretty good. He said, I'll just take some eggs. And so she said, no problem, honey, I got you covered. And so Tasha goes into the kitchen, and sure enough, she cracks 2 eggs into the skillet, and, she started scrambling those eggs, and she made sure they was nice and fluffy the way he liked it. She seasoned it pretty well, and put it on a plate. And by that time, when she was done, Troy was sitting in the living room watching television. And so she brought his plate to him, and she handed him his plate, and she gave him a kiss on his cheek and said, honey, I'm so happy to be your wife, and you just make me feel amazing. And she said, today is a good day. And he looked at her kind of begrudgingly, and he said, yeah, I guess for some of us it is. And Tasha realized the callousness of what she just said, so she thought about it, and she didn't want to give it away that she felt happy that this little girl would be out of their life. So she said, oh my God, darling, I'm so sorry. She said she said, please don't mistake that. She said, I know this has to be hard for you, and I'm here. So Troy looked at her, and he tried to search the truth in her face, and he just couldn't find it. He couldn't find the truth in her face, even though she said what she said. So Troy sighed, and he said, well, thank you for the breakfast, darling. I'm going to go ahead and eat, and then I'm going to get out of here. And so Tracy went and sat across on the other couch and watched him eat. And he just ate his food, and finally Troy took his last bite and gathered himself, took his plate into the kitchen and placed it in the sink. Took a shower, and he looked at his wife after he finished getting himself dressed, and he said, well, dear, I'm going to head to the hospital. She said, well, honey, did you get a car seat? He said, yeah, I took care of that last night. She said, wow, you're pretty prepared for this. And he said, well, that's... Then he slowed his words down, because Troy was about to say, that's what fathers do. But he cautioned himself not to say that. So Troy then said, okay, dear, well, I'm on my way to the hospital, and I'm going to go get the baby, and I'll see you when I get back. Sure, dear. And she gave him a kiss, and Tasha just couldn't help but to sense the awkwardness between them now. It wasn't any warmth, or it just felt staged and scripted, and just like as if he was just tolerating her. It's almost as if what once was love was just toleration. She felt a little bit punched in the gut. She tried to just snap out of the thought of it. And so Troy headed to the hospital, and he finally gets there, and the nurse welcomed him. Hi, how you doing? She said, you're here to pick up the baby? And he said, yes, I am, with a big smile on his face. I mean, Troy was genuinely happy to see his daughter. So the nurse went, and he gave the nurse the outfit to dress her, and the nurse came back shortly after, and the baby was all dressed and bundled up, and Troy just looked at his bundle of joy, and he said, wow. He said, he said, wow, you're just so beautiful. You're my beautiful girl. He said, I wish I could do more. And so Troy gathers her up, puts her in the car seat, and he looks back at the nurse, and he tells her, thank you for taking such good care of my daughter. I really appreciate you. And the nurse nodded and waved Troy off as he walked out of the hospital with baby Locust.